In this episode, we're going to pose a very serious question. Would you still marry me? Welcome to another episode of Same Page. I am your host, Lenard, and this is my lovely wife,
Sarah and Lenard.
In this episode, we're going to pose a very serious question. Would you still marry me? And after being married to Sarah for, it's going to be 8 years already.
Oh my gosh.
8 years in October. So let me ask you, would you do it all over again?
Would I do it all over again? Okay, would I do what? The marriage?
Still get married?
I would, but I do have to remind myself why. Because sometimes, let me tell y'all,
that's real talk right
there.
You
just wonder, did I make the right choice? And is this what I wanted? Because I'll give you a little bit of background.
Mm-hmm.
So, Len and I had been dating for about 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he proposed, I think it was just short of 2 years that when we got married. I'm not sure if I can get into the timeline, but everything happened around under 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And we were basically married. And the way things evolve with us, so I never had a reason to break up with Leonard, in a sense that we dated, and to me it was just kind of like the natural progression of the relationship. He proposed, and I was like, do you want to spend the rest of your my life? Do I want to spend the rest of my life with him? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, things are going good right now. So I didn't think too much about it. I wasn't like, is this the man for me? I wasn't really thinking about the future that much. Like, a little bit. You think about, we're gonna have kids, and it's gonna be great, and we're gonna have a new house, and blah blah. But you don't really think of what it entails. Okay, and I never really thought about all that, and I don't think I was ever the girl to really dream about marriage and all of that, or the wedding. Is just kind of like a natural progression of the relationship. And like I said, there was no reason to break up. I was still in love. And so, yes, we got married. Obviously, along the way, you face challenges. We faced challenges about the biggest one was infertility. And that really tested our relationship, and it made us get therapy. I think that was a really good thing that came out of it. And just communication in general was better because we had a therapist. Now, going through tough times kind of makes you realize whether you still want to be married to the person or not, right? And I think for me, the reason I say yes is because my personality, like our personalities, is actually, a lot of people think it's quite similar, but it's actually very different.
I think so. Yeah, okay. I agree with that.
And I think we do have the same values, and I think there's a lot of things that we want that align, but to the core, we're very different in terms of personalities, right?
Yes.
And I think my personality can be very intense sometimes. With the things that I want, with the things that I do, it's kind of like all or nothing. And not a lot of people would accept that, right? Especially when you're in that state of intensity, and you're like, not only put that pressure on yourself to get to the next level or be intense, but I also put the pressure on Leonard. So, whoever it would be, I would put a pressure on that person, and not everybody can handle that. And the reason that I think that Leonard is a right partner for me, and I would do it all over again, is because his personality and who he is actually allows me to be who I truly am at my core. Because he's more mellow. He's kind of even keel. Sometimes I make fun of him because there's like no emotions. Everything is just like, no matter what happens in life.
It's almost flatline.
Yeah, it's almost flatline. It's just like you try to wake him up, but everything is just like, oh, we bought a building. Okay. So and so got engaged. Okay. So like bad news. Okay. So it's like just even killed, right? So when I'm at my levels of intensity, when I'm like right here and I'm like, we need to do this, and I don't know, pulling all-nighters, and I have all these ideas that I want to execute, I think it's good that Leonard allows me to be that person, because if somebody trying to like let's call it dim my light, I think that would be very hard for me to take, and or criticizing what I want to do, or telling me like this is too much. I think that would be very hard for me to accept and to live with. So even though I have to say his it's kind of like double-edged sword,
Yes.
because you know when he's kind of even kill, and it sounds like or it looks like he doesn't care about anything. um don't get me wrong, I get upset because I'm like, don't you care? What do you want to achieve? Don't you want to do more? And I feel like I'm like, well, I don't feel like I'm pushing him, I do push him. Right. And that could be very annoying to him, right? And to him, he's very comfortable being who he is, and not kind of like cave to like what my ideal is. So his personality allows me to be who I am, and I think along the way I realized how important it is for someone to kind of allow me to express who I am at all times. I'm never scared that you're gonna be like, okay, Sarah, like we're not, I mean, you can give your opinion, but you're not like putting me down, or rejecting everything I say, or rejecting my intensity. You're like, okay, you do you, but like let me do me, type of thing.
Yeah.
And that along the way I've learned to appreciate, even though sometimes I push him to be somebody he's not, and he's not having it. So either way, that was a long explanation.
Yes, it was a very long answer, but it was very.
You're supposed to say no. It was a good explanation.
No, it was good, but it was also very long. But at the same, but that being said, you said so much there, and like I know for me, the short answer is also yes, for various reasons. Like I know for me, one thing that I appreciate about you is the fact that you are yourself, and I always describe people to you to people to you as like a little kind of like a little pit bull, like just so much energy, and such a like kind of such a very um, addictive personality, and you're very headstrong. You're very confident, and that's definitely something that attracted to me just from the get go. One reason I would do it all over again is for the simple fact that we've been through a lot, and all those challenges, even though during those valleys, it was obviously very difficult. Maybe I know I didn't sometimes react or say the right things during those times, but I think my intentions were always good. Um, I've learned to express myself a lot more. Um, and then at the end of the day, like it just comes down to like not only would I do it again, but just the fact that knowing that okay, like I have someone who's actually my partner, someone who's actually going to, roll around in the mud with me, get a little dirty, and also work on either personal development or trying to grow, trying to get better, go through whatever hardship that we have to go through. Just knowing that once we get past this, there's something better on the other side. Right. I don't think most people are suited to go through certain things and not let it kind of like break up the relationship, because I think the bond that we have is pretty solid. And I also think that kind of like our pedigree as far as where we come from definitely kind of helps us out. It's like seeing those examples of our parents, and then almost trying to emulate that, but obviously doing it our own way.
Right.
But like having those core values are so important, because that like is that foundation that helps you get over those obstacles and kind of push through. Because at the end of the day, like you're my best friend, and you're someone that I know I can go to war with, because at the end of the day, you have my back. Just like I have yours. And yeah, like it's it's been quite a journey, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next few years and what those have to, have to entail.
He sounds like vows.
These are not vows. These are not vows. Maybe I might say something along those lines at their 10-year anniversary or 15, 20, 25.
Oh
We'll see.
gosh, 10
But
years in 2 years.
10 years
so.
in 2 years. So, but yeah, all to say, I would definitely do it again. Like it wasn't necessarily smooth. Like I know we definitely had that whole like transition as far as like living with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That was a transition, and as you mentioned, we went through infertility. We went through we did some therapy. The therapy definitely helped us to communicate better. I know I still have some work to do in that, but I've definitely I feel like I have improved from where I started from. And and then at the end of the day, like I know you're in this, I'm in this, I'm not going anywhere.
He always says that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a good thing, but it could be like,
It's that whole double-edged sword again.
yeah, because when somebody says I'm not going anywhere, it's almost like, regardless, there's two ways to it. So it's like, okay, you know what, I'm faithful. Not necessarily I'm faithful, but it means that like you're not gonna look elsewhere.
I'm committed.
You're committed.
Yes.
Which is good. But on the flip side, it also means that like you feel, at least this is my perspective.
Yes.
It sounds like you feel entitled to your position. It's almost like, well, I'm not going anywhere. Like I don't need to put any more work, or regardless of what happens, I'm gonna stay right here. But at the same time, it's like, no, because I could make you go elsewhere if you don't put in the work. So it's kind of like you gotta work to stay where you are, to maintain your position in this marriage. It's not like, well, I'm not going anywhere and this is my house. It's like, yeah, but it is your house, but you gotta work to maintain that house. So question.
Yes.
Is it a red flag if you ask yourself that question and the answer is like, no, I wouldn't do it all over again?
I don't think it's a red flag per se, because it depends what you went through. Like I really believe that not everyone is equipped to go through certain things, and we all know that some people have not necessarily made the best choice when it comes to their significance, to their partner.
Okay. So, okay. So you're saying that because I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
So if you say it's not a red flag, but some people may not have made the best decision in their partner, does it mean that they need to leave that partner, or is that what you're getting at?
Well, I'm getting
because if
like what I'm trying to say is that if the person would have chosen someone that's probably either better equipped, either had better values, or their values were more in line, maybe depending on whatever they've gone through, that could have been either something like a little smoother or something that they could have overcame together.
So if you're saying if they would have picked another partner, that means it's a red flag that you may want to leave the relationship. Like you feel like that's not the right partner for you.
To go through certain things, yes.
Okay, so it is a red flag then, because then that means like you feel like, okay, I don't think I would have wanted to go through this with that person. To me, that's a red flag, because you never know what life may bring. You may go through something as difficult or more difficult in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, if you're saying that, if you're thinking, okay, this might not having the right partner, in my mind, that's a red flag. That's a red flag that the relationship is not as solid
as it should be.
Yes.
But we all know that some people stay in bad relationships just for the sake of whether it's the kids or the fact that they have the strong beliefs against divorce. So it really depends. As much as it may seem like a red flag, it really, like, every situation is different.
Yeah, I think some people may say that, hey, like, I definitely, not that I wouldn't have married you, but I would have, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have wanted to go through this period, right?
Yeah.
maybe because of what it did to your relationship, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't come out of it better, you came out of it worse for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and you're sort of scarred and whatnot. And yeah, you can stay in a relationship and progress and move on and whatnot, but that may have shattered maybe trust,
Yeah.
or may have something, did something to your relationship that you could have done without,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's not necessarily a red flag, but it's kind of like, okay, you know what, that didn't make us stronger. Even though I do believe that in general challenges do make you stronger,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the case for everyone. Not everybody thinks the same, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that, yeah, some people might think, okay, you know what, I would still marry you, but like we could do without that part, those first 5 years or the first 3 years,
Yeah.
where this and this happened. And it could be anything. It could be like death in the family. It could
be a lot of things.
It could be, not being faithful, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a question that I think every couple, their answers could be different. Whether you say yes or no doesn't mean that you should or should not continue the relationship. I think, everybody has their own perspective on that. But if your answer is yes, I challenge you to think of why. Because I'm sure in every relationship, each person at some point questions whether this was the right choice, right? Whether you get in a fight or whatever it may be. But just ask yourself why, and may actually give you an answer that may make you appreciate your partner for who they are. Because sometimes I feel like we look at the negative side and don't always look at the
focus on the positive.
Focus on the positive and what a partner brings to the relationship.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was our episode on would you still marry me? And I don't write yes or no in the comments, because if your partner sees it, I don't want to be responsible.
We don't want to be responsible.
We don't want to be responsible for this, but just reflect and think of, what your partner, what you guys have gone through, and whether those obstacles have brought positive or negatives to your relationship, and would you do it all over again?
Exactly.
Well, thank you for watching this episode, and as always, don't forget to
live your truth.